BBC Radio.
6 Music.
You are now entering a parallel universe. And wipe your feet on the way in.
Marc Riley, BBC 6 Music.
Run DMC, it's tricky. I'll tell you what is tricky, doing a Zoom twice a week with the far-flung corner of the world that is Beverley in East Yorkshire. Hello, mate. I'm not going to do the joke, don't worry.
Oh, we've done that one, haven't we?
Yeah, it's well and truly done that, isn't it? You're right.
Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. You?
Excellent. Yeah, good time, mate. So where are we in the parallel universe this week?
Well, we'll look at the enemy here, 23rd of August, 1986. The Mamas and the Papas are the latest 60s supergroup to reform. They form part of a 5-act package called Great American 60s Explosion. The rest of the lineup comprises Martha Reeves, Gary U.S. Bonds, Lou Christie, and Scott McKenzie. In terms of personnel, John Phillips and Denny Doherty are still in the Mamas and the Papas, while the late Cass Elliott's place is taken by Spanky McFarlane from Spanky and Our Gang.
Right.
And Michelle Phillips is replaced by a stepdaughter, Mackenzie.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. Go on, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, Scott McKenzie. Does he just do one song on this package tour? He's only got one song that anybody knows, hasn't he?
It's a big song, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But, you know, a one-hit wonder. Maybe he was first on the bill, just as a kind of warm-up act.
For those who don't know, it's Are You Going to San Francisco, which is a lousy song, I reckon. You know, everyone's a critic, though, eh?
Yeah, of course they are. Then it lists the confirmed concerts, beginning with a date at Stockport's Davenport Theatre. So I can't believe it. This is the first I knew of this, because at this point, 1986, I was just about to go to Stockport, and I lived about probably 3 or 4 minute walk from the Davenport. I would have loved to have gone and see that, but this is the first I've read about it.
Tell you what, the last time I went there was to see John Cooper Clarke, supported by Frank Sidebottom, and what, it's a great venue, isn't it? And what, it's surprised that it's not used more.
Well, I don't think it's there anymore. I think they got shut of it a few years, but about 10 years ago, I believe.
Well,
but it was a great little venue. It really was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Also in the news, August 86, David Crosby, who's serving a 5-year sentence for possession of cocaine and a firearm, has been granted parole. The singer has spent the last 6 months in a Texan jail, has now been released to a halfway house called The Next Step. He's likely to return to California and start playing gigs again. So this is a really big turning point, as you can imagine, in his life, wasn't it? He'd had all sorts of addictions for many years, and this was a big wake-up call, and it took spending time in a Texan jail for him to change his life around, turn it around.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh, I just need to say, no, I think it might have been the Plaza, not the Davenport Theatre.
That's still there. That's a wonderful old Art Deco place, isn't it?
That's a place I'm thinking should be used more. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
Yes. Okay. Also in the news, The Tube makes it to a century. Says Jules Holland, if somebody had told me back on Bonfire Night in 1982 that 4 years later we'd be celebrating our 100th programme, I just wouldn't have believed them. We're the longest running Channel 4 programme apart from Brookside and the news. It's hard to imagine now, isn't it? Just what a godsend that was. If you wanted to hear and see new bands on TV at the time or live music on TV, The Tube was really your only outlet. I know they put Whistle Test back in the mid-80s at one point, but it was really just The Tube, or else Top of the Pops, which isn't, of course, live music.
Yeah, it was such a fantastic programme, and on at such an unlikely time. Was it 5:15 on a Friday or something?
Yeah.
I don't know what your kind of most memorable moments are, but I will never forget. And I'm kind of like a little bit ambivalent towards the whole gamut of Tom Waits kind of canon. I don't like the really early, the Barfly kind of stuff, and I'm always drunk and mumbling. But I do remember the Rain Dogs set that he did on there with Uncle Vernon's Cemetery Polka, is it? And that alone was worth doing it. But it had so many great performances on there, didn't it?
Yeah, it was fantastic. And also they show old clips. So, if you want to see Beatles on a TV show in Germany in 1964 on Beat Club or whatever, they'd show that stuff as well. So it was like a portal to all sorts of really weird and wonderful stuff, wasn't it?
Fantastic. Yeah, what a programme.
Also in the news, Inner City Unit have sacked Nick Turner because they were sick and tired of being called a hippie band, it says here.
Hang on, they should have been called, sick of being called Nick Turner's Inner City Unit, because that's what it was called, and without Nick Turner...
there would have been nothing. They've changed the name to Maximum Effect.
Okay.
And also in the news, it's Beatle bid time at Christie's this month when the London auctioneers stage another sale of pop memorabilia. The latest dig has produced a letter from John Lennon to a fan explaining, my son is called Julian and he's 6 months old. Going rate for that, they're looking at £150 to £300. So with inflation, I worked this out before, Mark, that's still only £800 in today's money. So it just shows you how the market has really, really taken off, especially in the last 15, 20 years.
Yeah, you can't even imagine what that would be now.
Yeah. a copy of John and Yoko's marriage certificate, £4,000, and a Beatles acetate of Hello Little Girl that was so wonderful, Decca immediately rejected the group and signed Brian Poole and the Tremolos instead. One of those sold about 5 years ago for 77 grand.
Right.
So it is obviously it's a buyer's market and a seller's market.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the other end of the scale, it says there's a grey Pacamac signed in black felt tip by Madness going for £40, and a discarded Human League Casio VL Tone used on a track from Dare going for £60, which is an absolute bargain.
Madness.
It is.
You could have got a few grand together and opened up a museum with that thing.
Totally, Mark. Good idea. Singles, lots of stuff going on. You've got Eurythmics, Stuart Copeland and Derek Holt, the Bodines, champion Doug Veitch, Big Audio Dynamite with equals MC squared, and Prince, which with Girls and Boys, which is one of his best, I feel.
Should we go there?
Let's go there.
Okie dokie.
For 23rd of August 1986, Prince's Under the Cherry Moon film is reviewed by Stuart Cosgrove. I haven't seen this. Have you seen it?
No.
Okay, so it's a story of Prince plays a gigolo, doesn't he, in the south of France? I think he directs it himself as well. Sort of a drama comedy, I believe.
Can't wait.
So the film hasn't done very well in the States, it says. We're a joke.
He should have taken Bowie's lead, you know. I mean, if he had recognised the fact that Just a Gigolo with David Bowie in it was a turkey, you might have put two and two together and thought, and the best steer clear.
But he didn't.
No.
Apparently hadn't done well at all in the States, the film, where a joke's been doing the rounds. Showing daily at 2 p.m, 4 p.m, 6 p.m, refunds 3 p.m, 5 p.m, 7 p.m, etc. Stuart Cosgrove concludes, this is a supremely styled comedy that extends the myth in new ways, and the gigolo Christopher Tracy complicates the ever-developing theatre of Prince's personality. But his directorial debut betrays too many signs. He's a phenomenal pop star, enthused by an overestimated sense of his own artistic importance.
Sounds very much to me like Stuart is desperate for an interview with Prince and just wants to get on the right side of him. What do you think about that?
Well, that review?
Yeah.
I haven't seen the film, so I'll take it as a,
Fair enough.
Know what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, I do, but I mean, it's just generally regarded as a turkey, that's all I'm saying, by everybody else.
Definitely. On the big mouth front, you've got Bob Mould of Husker Du. He says, I've got no problem at all by asking for autographs. I used to write to Johnny Cash and people. The best one I got was Chuck Wagon from the Dickies. Chuck Berry came to see us the other week, but he made some comment about autograph hunters, so I put my pen away. He walked out after a third of our set. He probably thought we were the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life.
Does he only go for people called Chuck?
I don't know, Mark. But he got Johnny Cash.
Oh, right, okay.
And it says here, an odd fact recorded in Spin magazine, the amount James Brown sweats during an hour's performance equals the average annual rainfall of needles in California. I didn't know that, did you?
No, I didn't know.
A Daily Mirror editorial, in which job do people have the biggest mouths and the grandest sense of self-importance? Actors, politicians, soccer stars? Not at all. The answer is disc jockeys. With very few exceptions, they're people of tiny minds and huge egos, Mark. What do you say to that?
I was going to shout, hello, at one point in time, and then hoist my own leotard. And then what's happening? Michelle's chuckling away in the background here, just obviously giving credence to the whole thing.
Oh, absolutely. Well, it's
sickening.
Probably got a point. It is sickening. You're right. So we haven't got time to go into this very, very deeply, but this is quite a notorious exchange here between Nick Cave, interviewed by Matt Snow.
Right.
And which Snow calls later a supremely painful interview. He says, among Nick Cave's most prized possessions is a hardcover green book stuffed with press cuttings and private observations written in his spidery hand. This is my book, he says. I don't have to show it to anybody. I don't even have to worry about whether my mum's going to read it. Snow goes on to say that he believes it includes a song about the British music press entitled Scum. I didn't write it about the press, says Cave. I wrote it about you. See, here's a whole lot of scums. There's one. This one's about you. This is just a kind of pastime. I write hate lyrics really well. And Matt Snow observes this interview is not going well at all. And so it continues.
Right.
So he'd written something disparaging, actually about Anstoßender Neubauten, which Cave took exception to. And Cave does make a point at the end. He says, if somebody says something good about me, they're doing their job. I've got no complaints. They get no medal. They get the wage. That's all. But if they say something bad, then that really gets on my nerves. There are some people who take it in good stead and have a laugh, but I take it as a personal insult and harbour it. And so this goes on. So I think Matt Snow kind of basically leaves at the end with his tail between his legs. He's there to talk about Kicking Against the Pricks, which is the Bad Seeds covers album.
Yeah.
Which he reviews favourably, by the way.
I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Because I was a journalist. I'd use the term loosely, but I used to review albums and live gigs. And I used to always put at the end of a live gig review, particularly if it was a bad one, I put, but this is just my opinion, which kind of does question the whole role of the journalist. And so they never, ever put it in they would always edit it out, you know. So, I mean, I felt a little bit uncomfortable because sometimes they'd send me to see somebody that I didn't like and you knew it wasn't going to go well, you know.
Did you review them under your own name?
No, mate.
What was the name?
Do you think I'm daft? Oh, do you think I'm really daft?
It was worth an ask.
It was.
New album front, you've got Captain Beefheart and Magic Band. Now he's retired. They've reissued Mirror Man. David Quantick reviews Beach Boys compilation Made in the USA, and REM's Life Rich Pageant is out. All sorts of other stuff as well. And License to Ill on the horizon.
Okie dokie, that's where we're heading, Bob.
Kick it!
The Beastie Boys, and You Gotta Fight for Your Right to Party. Mark Riley and Bobby Hughes with the Parallel Universe.
Indeed. Look at the NME, 23rd of August, 1986. Gigs this week. You got The Damned at Hull City Hall, Killing Joke at Poole Arts Centre, The Crickets at Camden Dingwalls, Cardiacs at Greenwich Tunnel Club, Rory Gallagher at Leeds Irish Centre. It says here he normally appears at considerably larger halls, but has agreed to play this one to help get the venue off the ground. That's a decent venue. I've seen the Beta Band there and Teenage Fan Club, a few others.
Yeah, it's a great venue. Often gigs put on by John Keenan, as I remember.
Run DMC, LL Cool J and the Beastie Boys, who we've just heard at Hammersmith Odeon on the Raising Hell tour. Apologies, I've asked you before about this. Were you there? Did you see that tour?
I did go to the Apollo, yeah.
Yeah, was it good?
Yeah, it was great. It was, you know, I mean, you can imagine the Beastie Boys were a lot of fun. They were just, they were crushing cans of beer and throwing them in the audience and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
I saw them a few times, but I think that was a tour that kind of got them in a bit of trouble because they had some women dancing in cages, didn't they?
I believe
Which is obviously done with irony, but, you know.
Yeah, fair enough.
Anyway.
Also on the gig front, Angie Bowie at Fulham Greyhound.
Right.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, another Bowie connection at Hammersmith Palais. New Order at Newcastle Mayfair. Stump, supported by President Reagan is Clever at the Cricketers at Kennington Oval. Shirley Collins at the Purcell Rooms in London. And last on the bill at Lincoln Cornhill Vaults, the Stone Roses. Early days, 86.
Right, okay.
Also going on, an open-air concert at Halifax Peace Hall featuring Shop Assistants, Pop Will Eat Itself, Psychosurgeons and The Wedding Present. And the House Martins appear at Bramall Lane, home of Sheffield United FC, to perform before Tony Curry's testimonial game. Oh, very nice of him.
Right, okay. And just mentioning, I saw on Twitter today, I think it was Dave Haslam who tweeted about the fact that Pop Will Eat Itself and Public Enemy toured together in Germany, I think it was, or maybe Holland. And apparently Pop Will Eat Itself would last like 10 minutes each night. They'd just get, you know, cans thrown at them and everything and run to the hills.
I can believe it. Sad though. And just quickly, time for a live review of the Cramps at Hammersmith Odeon. Up on stage, Lux Interior's going through his Elvis Speaks from Beyond the Grave routine with a quiver on the edge of his voice, a beer bottle down the front of his pants, and a pair of bongos between his legs. He's paying homage to the spirit of the supreme godhead, Elvis. We're not going to play the Cramps though. That'd be too obvious.
We're not. We're going to play the Triffids now, which is Wide Open Road, the cover version, which is taken from that album that John Langford and I put together, Till Things Are Brighter. But this is great. Okay, so yeah, I think it's the same version anyway. But anyway, this is the Triffids, David McComb. And thanks very much, Bob. Enjoyed that.
Likewise, me too.
Gideon is next, and we'll see you on Monday night. Crack Cloud live in session. All right, here we go. Cheers for listening.
Prepare to exit the parallel universe.
Mark Riley, BBC Six Music.
And shut the door on your way out.